All right, welcome back. We episode 2. I forgot I was looking at the camera. Yeah, we're gonna continue looking to see potentially find the next star player, offensively anyway. And yesterday, discovered one. Discovered a couple between Jalen Williams, Austin Reeves. We have a few players that we think if they was on other teams, they could break out. In the current situation, probably not. Austin, just because he has LeBron handling the ball most of the time. Same thing with Jalen Williams, with Shea. Terry Rozier, off and on, we saw. Devin Booker, we know is good as we go on down his list. Luca, DeMar, yeah, Austin being at 6. Again, we were looking at pick and roll yesterday. Pick and roll, it seems to be a clear factor to see if somebody is a good offensive player. Let me make sure I put this on the regular season. Always tend to forget that. And I should change the list a little bit. Yeah, I moved Shea up to number 1. That makes sense because I just realized when I saw Austin in 89 games, that didn't make any sense. But, and TJ McConnell being higher on the list too, he just doesn't isolate that well. And that seems to be a big part of the game. And then also, points per possession matters a lot. And actually, talking about that, let's look up what points per possession is. And just to, just so we can have that points per possession, meaning okay. It's an advanced statistic that attempts to measure the number of points a player generates for each possession. Um, okay, so let's see. No, let's see more. All right, so points per possession is points divided by field goal attempts plus 0.44 times free throw attempts plus turnovers. Huh, okay. So it adds in free throws and your turnovers. Okay. And then that's how you get your points per possession. Huh, okay. That's interesting. Okay. So let's go back. Actually, let's just make sure. Okay, no, this is just calculator. Okay, that's interesting. So basically, it just meaning how efficient a player is, and then so somebody like James Harden back in the day. What year? And that's the other site I need the basketball reference because then I can actually look at stats instead of yesterday trying to go through and figure things out. I can actually look at this stuff. Okay, let's look at James Harden real quick because I want to look at and of course I type in LeBron. LeBron's probably fine too, but I want to look at Harden. Okay, because Harden in his MVP years, well I guess MVP year, he averaged 30. How many assists? 30 and 8, almost 30 and 9. So I'm interested in seeing these 3 years. Let's start. Let's or 4 years. Yeah, let's start with the 2016-2017 season to get an idea. Let's just go. Yeah, let's go back far. So somebody like Lou Williams actually top and pick and roll. James Harden was 4. Isaiah Thomas, Kyle Lowry. Huh. It's interesting just to look at it. Somebody like Kawhi Leonard, that's tops on this list. George Hill, that's interesting to see. But Mike Conley, Gordon Hayward, it's probably when Gordon Hayward was still good on Utah. Bledsoe with the Suns, yeah, he probably was still good there. Jeff Teague is on this list. So there's people good in the pick and roll. Let's see if James Harden in that stretch, that 4 year stretch I'm looking for, if he's ever number 1 in 5 possessions. Um, yeah, they didn't play enough games. Steph Curry's number 1 because maybe James Harden isolates more than I thought, which makes sense. But I know he would be in the pick and roll at least some. I wonder if I should do it by. I don't know if I can do it by games, so I can knock out these people that barely play any games. Like Trey Burke at 33 games doesn't do me any good. I need them to be at like 50, almost 60 games. But you can. But I did not know. I would have never guessed Tim Hardaway would have been top of pick and roll back in the day. But Tim had some good offensive seasons too, though. Yeah, I would have just assumed Deion Waiters. I would have just assumed James Harden was top on this pick and roll list, but I guess not. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to current. Okay, so going back to our list, Jalen Brunson. We kind of detailed yesterday why he was a star. What the makings of him becoming a star was. We saw earlier days in Dallas that he was good in the pick and roll, good in isolation, actually excellent in both, actually excellent in spot up as well. And then that just trickled down. And when he went to the Knicks, it just expanded. He had more opportunity, so now he could continue to work on that, add on that. Same thing with Tyrese Maxey. He never was the best in isolation, but pick and roll, he's been excellent most of his career. So makes a difference. Damian Lillard, Desmond Bain was definitely somebody I wasn't expecting, but I understand it because they didn't have John. They really didn't. I had to think about Memphis team. They wouldn't have another point guard for real. Fred VanVleet, I want to just look. I just want to look to see if his overall points per possession was good. Kyrie, we took a quick look at him. Trey, we know he's good in the pick and roll, but I want to show a few things about both Trey and LaMelo actually. Um, and reasons I don't necessarily care for either one of them. Trey is good, but I'll explain it here in a second. We look at Ja, De'Aaron, but there's nobody else that is surprising on this list because everybody else we know can score. Brandon Ingram, Hero, Mitchell. You start seeing players that you know are good. Anthony Edwards, 26. Kobe White. Let's take a look at this. 79 games. And I'll take a look at, is this Michik? Maybe Vasily Michik? I have no idea. But then I do see that looks like Simons right there. Yeah, let's take a look at Simons. I know he looks like he just played 46 games, but I definitely want to take a look at that. Yes, because I want to see if because Portland somehow gets these guards that wind up being good. Okay, let's start off with VanVleet. All right, points per possession rating, good. I like very good, but that's fine. 41%. That's the only thing I've been down on Fred for in his career, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, he doesn't shoot high a field goal percentage. What did he average this year? He averaged 17 points a game, 41%. Let me see what he shot from three. Shot 38% from three. I do like that. Okay, let's take a look. Pick and roll, very good. It looks like everybody I'm looking at now has probably dropped down to very good instead of excellent. Isolation, he has been at is average. Doesn't do it that often. So that kind of spots your antennas. And then Fred only being 6 foot, if he is 6 foot, that's another thing. But let's look at him in the past real quick. He was on Toronto, so he's always been good in the pick and roll, which is good for your lead guard. Isolation's been average. So as far as star quality, that's what honestly puts those red flags up. Isolation below average, very good in the pick and roll, very good on spotting up. So somebody like this, so that's why he was a good role player in Toronto. That makes sense now. Not necessarily as the best or most efficient scorer, but yeah, isolation, it's a trend. So that's why I like somebody like this. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I don't think they have the potential star quality, but he is good in the pick and roll. And that's just good for your offense. You need that for your lead guard. And I do like that. His regular season, we look at shot types. Field goal attempts, average. Layups, I'm assuming it's going to be poor. Yeah. Yeah. So that would deter me from. He's very good on the jump shot. So as a role player, I think I would really like to have him. But as a star or a lead guard, well, I wouldn't say a lead guard. I wouldn't want to have him. I just wouldn't want him to be my main point of attack because it doesn't look like he creates for himself that well. But when he's catching shoots, he's open. So if somebody creates for him, if he creates for others and not himself, it seems like it's good. But he can't create for himself for real. Yeah, he's good from everywhere on the jump shots. The problem, was probably bringing his field goal percentage down is his layups because he's shooting 42% from on his layups. I was gonna say, when I saw 176, I thought he dunked the ball one time. I don't think I've ever seen Fred dunk. But yeah, because he's very good at and excellent at all of these. But yeah, his layup. So I wonder if that's a trend for him. Let's see. No, it's not. Average, average, poor, very good, unguarded. Makes sense. Poor at the layups though, because they want you to. It says poor. It wants you to be around 60% on layups, or it wants you to be like high 50s, or for you to get good credit for it. But again, jump shot very good. So that last year, his last year in Toronto must have been just a bad year. It was actually because he knew he was going to get traded. But again, his layups are bad. So that's the problem. That's what's bringing his field goal percentage down there. Well, not necessarily, because he's still shooting 47% on the layups. What is he doing? Dribble jumper 30. Yeah, this is what's bringing it down. It's still very good to do it. But honestly, if he got this up to 55, that would get his regular field goal percentage up. Yeah, a ton actually. It would get up 8 points. That's 48%. Yeah, so it's him going to the basket. So Fred's just bad going to the basket. That is. I just want to confirm that with another year. Yeah, good, good, excellent, average, poor. Yeah. So basically, if you're guarding Fred VanVleet, send him to the rim. That's what this is showing. That's what stats are showing. But yeah, somebody like Fred. Just going back to play types. We know he's good in the pick and roll, but as far as isolating, doesn't seem to be a strong part of his game. So looking at him being a star, I would cross him off the list. Trae Young. Okay, everybody hypes on Trae Young. Trae averaged. Oh, actually, instead of doing that, let's come back over here. Let's just type in Trae Young, and then we can actually look at current stats. So Trae averaged 25 points, 10 assists on 43% shooting. Trae in the pick and roll, very good. I was expecting that. In isolation, he is good. I was expecting a very good, but I'll take it. But on his possessions, it's probably and if I take a guess after learning what the points per possession is, because I know he gets free throws, but that also must mean that he's high in turnovers, very high in turnovers. Let's go back. Let's see if we can see turnovers. Turnovers per game, averaging 4 turnovers a game. So that's probably tops in the league. If I had to take a guess on an average basis, I didn't realize he made the All Star team this year. Huh, that's interesting. And he shot 37% from three. I wish he could get that up to 40. But okay, so it's play tight, pick and roll. We know Trae's very good. Probably some years excellent. If I had to take a guess, and I don't even have to take a guess. Let's go back and look. Very good. Isolation good. Again, what was still average on this side? What's a good year for Trae? Okay, so 2021, 2022 was a very good year for Trae. What did he average that year? 21, 21, 2022. I forgot it does that. And click. Okay. Yeah, he was third team All NBA. Makes sense. 38% from three. Average 28.4. Probably 10 assists or close. 9.7 assists. Okay. So basically 10 assists. And shot 46%. Yeah, that's a big difference. Shot 46%. So let's see the reason. Let's see the reason why though. The difference between this year here, 2021, 2022, and the current year. So, yep. Very good pick and roll. So it looks like he's just a very good pick and roll. Not necessarily excellent, but very good in it. But his ISO game stepped up that year. If I had to take a guess, and that's why I like this thing. It breaks down a lot of what somebody's doing. But as a pick and roll ball handler, this is what I like, especially for somebody like him. As a pick and roll ball handler, he was excellent in his possessions. Even when the defense commits, it looks like when he traps, he's not, but they don't trap him that often. Yeah, he's just a good. Just a good. He's good in pick and roll. I think they just added this ISO part because I never seen this, or I never came down this far. Okay, but let's go back to shot types. Field goal percentage is good, excellent all around here, and that's honestly probably what made him 13 All NBA. Average is 55%. Wonder what they want you to be at excellent. What, 70? Because 55 should have been good, but that's why his field goal percentage went up. If I had to take a guess, this is closer to 50 or maybe in the 40s, and that's why his field goal percentage is low. If I had to take a guess. And Trey should be shooting runners if I had to take a guess. 45% on the runner. Okay. Yeah, and he's good at it, not excellent. Okay. Now let's compare that to his current year. So, average on his field goal attempts, very good still in these areas. Not excellent, but very good. His runners still good, 45%. Yep, his layups they drop down. They drop to 50, basically 5%. So, and that's what's causing this to affect some of his percentages, especially his shooting percentages. And that makes sense because he's shooting. It's probably like a when you scheme it overall. It's probably what percent of your shots. So if you're doing all field goal attempts, and they're saying that you had 200. Okay. All right. Let's break it down like this. Okay. So out of 21% of your shots, you're shooting 50%. But these are layups that they want you to be at probably 60. If I had to take a guess, it's probably looking at 60, maybe 65%. And of course, that would boost this up a ton. Probably 5-6% if I had to take a guess. Your runner is good at 45%, but still it's 23% of your shots. But your jump shot 38%. So either, which is still very good, but you just have to get these layups up. I wonder what he shoots when he's unguarded. It says average at 40%, which I'll take. It could be better. Somebody like, yeah, 40% from three. So that's why I'm saying I'll take that. Um, Somebody like, and I mentioned it yesterday. I will actually show, but somebody like Trey Young, and he is a star because he's consistently good and very good. But his main problem is the turnovers for me because he should be this right here. His points per possession should not be average. He should always his worst should be good, and that's kind of his honestly his some of his troubles because especially when you're that small defensively. And I know we're looking at the offense, but when you're looking at defensively, he's average defensively, honestly better than what I thought. And but people are going to try to hunt him, just with him being what 6'1" maybe. So someone like Trey. Ah man, and I'm an Atlanta fan, so I like Trey, but I don't know. I don't know if he fits on the team we currently have because they need him. He needs to be an offense similar to Steve Nash, but Steve Nash was better in the categories. If I had to take a guess, instead of putting him in a team like Steve Nash, he needs to play like Steve Nash. Because if he can play like Steve Nash played for the Raptors. He must have just got traded to the Raptors. I don't ever remember that, or maybe that's a different Steve Nash. Let's see what year can I look up for Steve. 2011, 2012. Was he still on the Suns then? Let's go this year. Steve Nash was just average too. Okay. Oh, okay. This was later in his career. Actually, let's do this so I can see what age Steve was, so I can get some good years for him. Because in his NBA career, I'm not necessarily. Actually, I probably do need to get stat head. I'll get it eventually. Okay, let's take a look. So the year I was looking at for Steve was that 2010, 2011. He was 36. So I don't expect him to be good, but he still actually was pretty decent. 49%. Okay, but I want an MVP year, Steve. So 2005, 2006. Let's see if we can have that. 2005, 2006. So this is what I need. This is what I need from Trey. But I know he's not that type of guard. I just need it from him. And it's the turn. I know it. I know what it is. It's the turnovers. Because Steve averaged. Well, Steve still averaged 3.5 turnovers, so it's not like that's that major of a difference. To be honest with you, I know it's almost one turnover, but it's nothing crazy. It's still nothing crazy. So what made Steve Nash better? Let's see. Wow, Steve Nash was actually excellent in isolation. Well, I wasn't. Steve Nash was good. I wasn't expecting that. I knew he was going to be excellent spot up. I knew that. Shot types. Let's see. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's excellent at the rim. Because as you see right here, 72%. Or maybe you can't see it because I just realized my face has been in the way for most of it. But he's 72% at the rim. And that's considered excellent. So that makes sense. Oh, Steve Nash had a dunk? Oh man, I have to watch that on the phone. I just, I don't think I've ever seen him dunk in a game. I'm interested to see what that is. But okay, so again, this is kind of where Trey needs to get to. That's gonna be tough because Steve Nash was what 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". Do they have his height on here? 6'3". It's gonna be tough. I need somebody closer to Trey's size, but that would be Chris Paul. That's closer, but he's more sturdy than Trey. I need to find somebody that's in in Trey's build, but I need him to play like these guys. But the thing is the efficiency. Because if Trey didn't shoot, I wonder if it'll let me see. Let me let me see if for his shots. I wish they could tell me the distance from because it just says long threes. I wish you could tell me the distance between them. And I don't have access to shot quality. I wish I did. But because even though it says good, it's at 37% from three. I'm pretty sure there's some shorter threes he could be taking, and that's what's making changing the percentages. But somebody like Trey Young, I think his points per possession should be better. Um, yeah, because he definitely gets to the free throw line. He definitely scores well. He just yeah, honestly, it might just be the layups. Might be the layups. I didn't realize he was going to be like that from as far as shot types on his layups. I thought I didn't realize 50, and I didn't realize Steve Nash would have been at 70 in his like MVP type years. So that's a big difference. Okay, yeah. So that's Trey Young. So in order for Trey to reach, yeah, we need Trey to be an MVP, but they probably will trade him this year. They probably will. Oh, I just thought about somebody. Um, Off of, and I didn't even bring him up yet, but I will bring him up now. So if they decided to trade him to the Spurs, there's a guy Devin Vassell that I've been looking at, and as far as points per possession, he's very good, and his play type as a pick and roll ball handler is very good. His isolation is just good though, so I'm not sure as far as upside, but the spot up he can shoot the ball. And Devin Vassell, I want to say is 6'6", 6'7". So if I'm looking at 6'5", okay, that's fine. If I'm looking at somebody that could potentially, if he got his own team, take off. So I would be wondering if the Spurs really did want Trey Young, to pair him with Wimby, finding somebody like this and being able to see that because he's excellent transition, very good spot up. He's good in isolation. Let's just look at the year before. Excellent, excellent as a pick and roll ball handler. Poor in isolation, but didn't do it that often. Which I'm not too upset with that. He didn't do that often. The year before that, let's look at the year before that. Pick and roll. It doesn't look like he did it most of the time. He was more of a spot up shooter, and barely even was in the isolation game at all. It looks like the Spurs started putting the ball in his hand in these past 2 years, because you see the percentage. His pick and roll ball handler becomes the top percentage out of everything for Devin Vassell. And spot ups, he was average that year. Isolation, he was poor. Still doesn't even do it that much. And then this past year, isolation still doesn't do it that much, to be honest. But his the pick and roll game, you could tell he's very good at it, because you have 2 years data now to see that he's good at it. So somebody like this, I would would want back if they were to trade with the Spurs. I'm not sure what that trade would be. I haven't really even thought it out yet. I probably could make a video called a trade series video, but this would be somebody that I was looking at and that I would want back in that trade. I don't know if the Spurs would do it, but I would definitely want him back. Just for the simple fact that he's good in the pick and roll. So there's potential. So because he's good with the ball in his hand, and then I know he can shoot. Because what did he shoot from? He shot 37% for three, 38 before, 36 before, rookie year 34. And still, that's on higher field goal attempts these past 2 years. So this is somebody I definitely want. I almost went too far. Yeah, LaMelo. I got to talk about him in a second. So yeah, if we would trade for him, this is definitely somebody I want. And this part too. Okay, so here goes the difference between a very good gets you when you're in the 60s. It looks like 62% at the rim. Dunks. Yeah, that's what I said. It's weird. Good is 90% at dunking the ball, but I'm like, do not care. As long as that's in the high 80s, 90s, I'm fine. Catch and shoot, he's good. He's good at everything like this. I want to say the year before, he was very good at something. Excellent, actually. Okay. So excellent at the catch and shoot, very good, unguarded. Jump shot, good. Dribble jumper, average. Only thing that gives me a little pause. Let me see. Was he good at it this year? Yeah, he was good at it this year. So good shooter. And so, but this is somebody I would be looking for back in the trade, Atlanta, if you do decide to trade with the Spurs, because he has the to me he has the potential, and then you watch him play, he has the potential to take off. But just looking at just stat wise and not looking at him play, I know many people probably only watch the Spurs for Wemby, but this is somebody I would definitely be looking at. All right, next person, LaMelo. So LaMelo is very good at the pick and roll actually. But for me, just watch him play is shot selection. There's always going to be shot selection for him and Trey. Shot selection is just going to be probably a major downside of their game. Possessions plus assist. It's probably always going to be good for both of those two. But when you look at play types, they're very good in the pick and roll. He is actually below average when he isolates. That trend, I believe, continues when we look at it over year. But as a pick and roll ball handler, yeah, he's very good, and he actually probably should do that a lot more. He probably should knock that up to 50% of the time if he could. Let's look at the year before, because I know he was hurt this year. Actually, he's been hurt a lot. Let's actually look at LaMelo's stats. And LaMelo to me is like a bigger Fred Van Fleet in the fact that he doesn't shoot very good from the field, in my opinion. Just career wise, 43, 42, 41, 43. And for him to be 6'6", 6'7", yeah, I feel like he should be able to do that and get to the rim a little bit better. From three, he's good. And I think when he gets clean shots off, I think he's probably a good shooter, if I had to take a guess. Isolation average, pick and roll average, actually, that year. And I'm assuming below average on this. Yep, points per possession, below average. What is the average as far as turnovers? 3.6, 3.8. And how many assists is he dishing out? 8, about 8. Yeah, so yeah, somebody like this, even though they're have a fun play style and it looks exciting, it's not going to lead to wins. And as you see here, when he catches and shoot, he's actually good at it. It's just all the other stuff he does. Layups is poor, 48%. For him to be 6'7", that's almost unacceptable. Runner average, let's actually look at the current year. Let's look at that. Layups were good. Okay, that's and this is a better sign. Okay, so layups are good. Runner average, but his jump shot average. Unguarded looks like it's actually pretty good. But what's a healthy year for him? 22, 36. Maybe his problem too. He doesn't really have that many healthy years. Yeah, really. All right, this year's All Star year. Let's look at this year, 2021. Okay, so let's take a look. Yeah, LaMelo's actually a good shooter, a really good shooter actually. Because I see that's a lot. Layups looks like it's much more to be desired with his layups and getting to the basket. But it looks like when he is unguarded, he is a knockdown shooter. And he would probably be good in a role, but he's not going to accept it because he wants the ball in his hands. Yeah, because and somebody like him, yeah, because that's 2 years in a row now. So he was very good last year at the pick and roll. 2 years before that, he's just been average. Isolation, though, he was very good at isolating that year. Doesn't do it that often though. But he was very good this year. But that's surprising that he's only been average. And points per possession, he's never been higher than average. And that's another thing when I'm looking at just stars and looking at potential. This points per possession, you need that to be at minimum good. You're looking for very good to excellent, but at minimum it needs to say good to find you to look for a legitimate star, somebody that can take over your team. It helps out a ton. And for me, that's his main problem to me is shot selection. Let me look at his rookie year to see if it got any better. It didn't. Yeah, I didn't expect it. His isolation was actually excellent his rookie year. Point per possession value, but yeah, to me his shot selection. That's probably what's going to limit him, limit his teams. Just being honest. Yeah, just yeah. When he cleans that part of his game up, I think he'll be fine. But until he does that, yeah, he's that team is honestly, especially with him being a lead guard, they're going to struggle. Kobe White, all possessions was good. I think this is probably his first good year. And I remember when he was in North Carolina, I remember I was expecting him to, especially being a 64 guard, to come in and take the lead by storm. But I'm actually glad. I want to say past 2 years. No, he was hurt. No, he wasn't hurt. He just didn't play. Dang, it's crazy. He actually played this year, and he showed what he could do. But yeah, somebody like this, I was expecting to take over. They're 6'3" or 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, I remember I was expecting him to. I remember I was expecting him to take over, but I'm glad he did this year. I can say that. Average 19 points, 5 assists. I'm saying was a starter this year. Probably should have won. Who won. I forget who won the most improved player, but who won most improved actually? Let's see. Playing NBA 2024, Tyrese Maxey. And I like Tyrese Maxey, but when somebody goes from 9 to 19, when Tyrese go from 20 to 26, yeah, yeah, more assists, but still, Kobe would have had more assists because he had more playing time. Yeah, it went from 2 assists to 5, or 2.5, or over 2 to 5. Yeah, I think I would still give it to Tyrese. I forget who else was in the running, but not Tyrese and Kobe. Yeah, because yeah, Kobe. I don't think anybody was expecting it. But okay, going to possessions. He was good at that. I'm pretty sure if I look at the years before, they're not going to be necessarily that good. Oh, actually, that year was good. Okay, let me see the year before that. Very good. Average. That's fine. And it's probably below average. Okay, but you see a progression though. Average. Very good. In the past 2 years, he's been good. So that would have actually gave me hope on him. And just looking at stats, I wouldn't have been able to tell why they weren't playing him just off of points per possession. Okay. Play types. Spot up. Very good at it. Pick and roll ball handler. Very good. Isolation average. Now this will be a cause for me to not necessarily say he's a star. Good, very good role player. Very good player. But I would say this would be one of the reasons I would say he's not that have the superstar type potential. Just because he spots up more than he actually is handling the ball, and it makes sense. He has DeMar DeRozan on the team. He has Zach LaVine on the team, so he's not really going to get that many opportunities. Well, he'll get opportunities, but they're going to have the bulk of the opportunities. Let's see the year before he wasn't starting the year before. Yeah, he's spotting up. Oh, is he a good? How good of a shooter is he? Hold up a second. That's a very good. Yeah, he's a very yeah. This is somebody you would want to get. They probably signed him already. If I had to take a guess. Another man. This is making me bring up all my sites. All right, Spotrac. I like going to Spotrac to find player salaries. Kobe White. Let me see. Let me see if they signed him to a new deal. Mm, they did, but it expires after next year. Yeah, so this would be somebody I would be targeting as a role player to get, and role players make like $20 million a year now. So, cause that's 2 years. That's 2 years in a row being from spot up because that's what you want. And then if he can be good in the pick and roll too, that helps. But that's what I'm looking for. Let me look at the year before that. Very good at spot up. So yeah, this is what I'm. This is actually what I'm looking for out of like a really good role player. This is so Kobe White is somebody I'd be targeting. Yeah, pick and roll when he did the pick and roll. So that might have been his problem. Early in his career, they were giving him the ball, and it just wasn't. Yeah, he just wasn't good at it. Yeah, but he's good. He's good spotting up though. So hey, as long as you're good at something. So I would say, yeah, this is calls for a very good role player. That's what. That's how I would be looking at this situation and seeing if I could get him off the Bulls. If I'm one of those contender type teams, of course, the Bulls are going to make you pay for him. But this is somebody I would be looking to get because this, honestly, this was unexpected for me. I was not expecting him to be primarily a spot up shooter. I know he can shoot, but I didn't wasn't expecting that. Shot type. Actually, what did he shoot on the season? This will give me. All right, regular season shot 37. Career shooting almost 37% from three. So should have known he's a good shooter. Okay, so good on the catch and shoot. Guarded, not necessarily the best, but he's good when he's unguarded. Dribble jumper, very good. You like to see that. Excuse me. Good at the rim, very good. Dunking the ball, doesn't do that often, of course. Below average on his runner. Probably does need to get that up. I do want to see the year before that because he didn't even play that often. But yeah, very good in the catch and shoot. Unguarded, very good. Average when guarded. Looks like he's not the best shooter when he's guarded. He needs to work on his runner though. Yeah, because his runner is he doesn't shoot that often though, so that helps. Very good at the rim though. I do like seeing that. All right, let's take one more year. Good. Yeah, he's a good shooter. He's a good shooter. That's what that means. Dribble jumper, runner. His runner fell off in the past few years, and he was average on his legs, but he still shot 55%. So that's, I know it's not quite 60, but I can work with that. But so Kobe White would be somebody I'm looking at as a high value role player. Somebody that can come on my team, get me buckets. I'm talking from the offensive standpoint. Somebody that can come in, get me buckets. Somebody I know this past year had the ball in his hands and did well, but he can spot up. And now when I have these guys that can do the pick and roll, let's just use a Jalen Brunson for example. Now he has people to swing and hit these shots. So this is somebody I would be looking for after what was it, the 2024-2025 season. This is somebody I'd be looking for. Oh no, actually, so not this year, the year after, 25. So after the 26th season, I'd be looking to get him. Yeah, because he's an unrestricted free agent after that. So the Bulls need to go ahead and try to sign. They need to try to extend him if they can. I don't know when the extensions start, but they need to go ahead and start talking about it because he's actually very. He's a high value role player. He's going to make 20. He should make 20 million easy. All right, let's get off Kobe. But as far as star potential, looking for a star, no. We're going to go ahead and stay no. All right, I just put him Vasil Micic, I think. Oh, he played a year before? Okay, let's look at some stats. I'm not expecting too much, to be honest. Let's copy this because I'm not going to be able to spell that either. Okay. Oh, maybe he didn't play the year before. Oh, he did. Okay. Um. Oh, we averaged 10 points a game in these 30 games. Okay. Did he get traded this year or something? Oh, okay. He got traded. Okay. So he barely played on OKC. OKC. I don't know how he find these guys. How old is this man? He's probably like. Let's go. I'm gonna guess say 24, but oh, he's 30. I didn't see his face. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I wonder if he from Spain? Oh, Serbia. Okay, I guess Michik. I guess that doesn't sound Spanish at all. So he was drafted from the 76ers back in 2014, and he just came over. Okay, I guess so. All right, what did he shoot now? 43% from the field. Uh, Shot terrible from three. Lord have mercy. Okay. Well, he's just a rookie, old rookie at that. So star taking it out. Points per possession, don't like this at all. Below average. Let's look at some play types at least. Very good in pick and roll. Does 56% of the time. Similar to how I was saying LaMelo Ball needs to set the pick and roll up. That LaMelo needs to play more to the pick and roll, kind of like how Michik was. And I don't know why this is doing this all of a sudden, but okay. Isolation poor, yeah, he's not no star potential from what I'm seeing. And actually, well, he didn't get much playing time in OKC, but I'll have to evaluate this again next year. But yeah, I would. If I'd go out on a limb, star potential now. So that's a quick. Don't even need to take a look at it. All right, and our last guy of the day, Anthony Simons. So trying to see if he would potentially be a star. And right off the bat, seeing points per possession just being average, man, it's gonna lead me to say no. But I wanna let's look at some years before. Just okay, I like seeing good, good there. Good. So he's been good, but very good. But I want to say Dame should have been there. Being in transition below average is interesting too, though. And this was his rookie year, I believe. No, it was not. Yeah, yeah. For whatever reason, most people their rookie year they're below average. But this year being average, especially when he should have had Um, More touches is surprising. Let's look at his stats actually. Okay. So Anthony averaged 22 this year. Only played 46 games. Shot 38% from three. Let's see. He's a 38% career three-point shooter, which is really good. He's only 24. 22, 21. Let's see. Yeah. What's his turnovers? Doesn't turn the ball over much. Um, Kind of average on assists, though. Looks like more of a score, but the efficiency is what we're looking for, especially when we want to look for these star type level guys. So we know he's very good at the pick and roll. Isolation is average. Spots up very well. Hands off does everything else very well. Looks like drive left most of the time. He probably needs to correct that. Let's look at the year before. Excellent in the pick and roll. I do like that. Spot up very good. Huh. Isolation average. I need to see if there's ever isolation that's tend to, as good or very good, because this could that's a I feel like that's a telling sign. Um, because if it stays similar to what this is, the star potential isn't there. Like, what's below a star but above a role player? Whatever that is, that's what he is. Maybe just let's call it a high value player, but not an all star. Because right now, without him being able to basically break a defender down, take him off the dribble, whether that create from three, whether that's attack the basket, get to the rim. Yeah, he can't do that without another person being there. Just from statistics. Spotting up though, he's been very good in the pick and roll. He's been very good, and that's 3 years in a row. And that's all. That's honestly all I need to see. And this is his first good year. I want to say. I remember on the points per possession, and he's still very good at this, and just average at the ISO, spot up, good. He didn't even have the ball in his hands that often. Is still good at the pick and roll here. And let's see his rookie year. In his rookie year, he was still good at the pick and roll. Below, and this makes sense. He came in league. I want to say he came in league at 18. I want to say it says 19. Probably turned 19, but I want to say he came in the league at 18. Oh, his isolation was actually very good here. That's weird. Him and Lamelo both. And I would say the first year in the league, isolation is better than any other point they've been in the league. But so with him, whatever he's going to have to improve in isolation, or he's the all star potential is not going to be there, because it could be, but I don't know if he can get better at the ISOs, because it really could be, because he has years, because it would move his points per possession up if he could be good in isolation, because he's very good in pick and roll, he's very good at spotting up. So right now I see a high value player, but all star potential is not going to be there. So as you see, he scores. He averages 22 points a game, but 22 points a game with what efficiency? He's not getting other players involved that often, because 22 and 5 is not really doing anything for you. He was at 22 and 8 maybe, 22 and 9, but still when I look at field goal percentage, 43%. I wonder if he can't get to. Let's look at his shot types to see if it's the same thing that's been affecting Trae Young, LaMelo, people like that. Because catch and shoot, excellent, very good. Everything else looks good, so I think we kind of got a clear indicator of what it's about to be. It's the layups, below average, and it seems to be a very telling sign. These people, everybody, and it seems like it should be an easier shot, but when you're going against these 7 foot giants, that's where the issue comes in at. And yeah, because he's a good shooter, a very good shooter. You have unguarded, guarded, catch and shoot 43%, which is very good. Actually, excellent according to this. Dribble jumper's good. Early jumper's good. Early jumper I don't even care about. I just like seeing it good sometimes though. But and who cares about the hook shot? He shouldn't even be taking it. But this is what he has to improve on. If he improves on the layups and just gets them to 60%, I am for certain this will be good or very good. And I'm pretty certain his overall would turn to be a very good. But I'm pretty sure that has to do with some of his isolation possessions. All right, let's look at this. Yeah, he's a good shooter. Very good. Very good. At the rim, average 54%. That's workable. Let's look at another year. Let's take a look. He's an excellent shooter. Wow. But he can't do anything at the rim. Oh wow. It's kind of hard to see because there's potential here. Similar to Lamelo. Yeah, because you see they're actually very good shooters. Very good. The problem is when they get to the rim. So I wonder what they probably need to take a look at somebody like Steve Nash, because the thing is Simons is actually athletic, but that doesn't necessarily help you when you get to the rim when you facing other athletic bigs. So they need to probably take a look at Steve Nash. Simons is what he should be 6'2", 6'3". Yeah, yeah, 6'3". Take a look at Steve Nash. Take a look at Chris Paul. Probably was good at the runner. He was actually excellent at runner this year. What year was this? 2021, 22. I want to look. Let's look. Let's take one. Anthony Simons is definitely our final player that we'll do today. But somebody like Chris Paul. I want a Chris Paul. I don't even want a prime year, but I don't want a bad year from Chris Paul. Like I don't want this Golden State year. That was a throwaway year. But okay, give me this Houston year right here. What year was this? 2017, 2018. Give me that Chris Paul. Because I want to see if even when he didn't have the ball that often, because he had James Harden, if he was still good. So, first look, very good on all possessions. Makes It makes a difference. When you're this right here is very good and not average, it just tells what type of player you are. Play types. So again, the makings of stars. It's a very telling sign. Pick and roll ball handler, isolation, which makes sense why when he went to OKC, they were still a playoff team. Transition average, miscellaneous, not don't care about any of this. Spot up, it helps. Like these other they factor in, they help, they're good. But these two are what matter. Pick and roll, isolation. If we're looking for lead guards to be stars, and that's what we're looking for here. You need those to be very good to excellent. Not good. Good, is okay, but not when we're talking about our top quality players. And that's how we were able to find. That's how when you look at a Jalen Brunson. Not saying we found him, but when you look at a Jalen Brunson, that's how you're able to find a player like that. That's why I think somebody like Austin Reeves has potential, but his isolation is not necessarily the best. Devin Vassell, another player, isolation is not necessarily the best, which leads you not to find him to be a star per se. Very good player, could be an all-star. Similar to how Tyrese Maxey, the pick and roll was excellent. His isolations were average. I don't think they were ever good. I think they stayed in average. But all-star type player. But if we're trying to find that potential guy, like a Jalen Brunson, we need both of these to be an excellent, very good. And if you find that, you trade for that player. Especially if they're unknown. If they're unknown, trade for that player because it's a telling sign. Because Chris Paul's it's not even one of his best years, but it just tells how Chris Paul was as a player. Now, this right here, this is so they need to look at people like Chris Paul. They need to look at Steve Nash. They need to look at people like this because this wasn't necessarily a very dominant year for Chris Paul. Didn't have the ball that often this year. Was still good in these stats though. Just shows what type of player he was offensively, and that's what these guys need to look at. So they try to understand what angles he takes, especially when he gets to the basket. Understand just him a little more. Probably need to do a breakdown on Steve Nash, Chris Paul. Probably have to do it from take some clips, cut up some clips, put them together on those two, and just looking at them get to the basket, because just to look to see what type of angles they're taking, because people like Anthony Simons, people like LaMelo, people like even Trae Young, throw Trae Young in there. Those guards, LaMelo is a big guard, so I don't really understand. He should be able to. He just has bad shot selection. Same with Trae Young, and I haven't watched Anthony Simons. I watched Anthony Simons, but I haven't watched him to the degree I watched Trae Young. And LaMelo, he's shown because of what he did in high school, and you see him everywhere on YouTube. But I would I would study those guys, and I need to find some other guards that potentially weren't necessarily high flyers, but they were good. They can make the shots, and these are guys you have to study just to see where they got their shots, what type of shots they were getting, especially when they got to the basket, how they attacked the basket. They were crafty because they had to be, but it helps. So yeah, if they were doing all these scoop shots people do, um, that Trey does anyway, but doesn't necessarily go in all the time. Obviously, when we look at this, so yeah, I would. Oh, and I do have that at all. So let's put that at regular season. See if that changes anything. Yeah, still keeps it very good, excellent. Yeah. So, I guess just to make sure, let's still very good. Play types, excellent, excellent. Just to make sure on Chris Paul, but yeah, this is episode 2. Today I will say we found people with potential. When you look at, because I just happen to remember Devin Vassell. When you look at Anthony Simons, you look at those two to me. When you look at guys that you could potentially trade for, they have potential to take that jump. People like Trae Young, people like LaMelo already have a big enough name, but they're just inefficient, and that's their biggest downfall right now. And Devin Vassell actually makes layups at 6'5". So that's somebody. If the Hawks decide to keep DeJounte and trade Trae, that's somebody I probably get off of. And DeJounte Murray, honestly, is another case. We'll probably get to him later. But yeah, Devin Vassell is somebody I would definitely be looking to get back from the Spurs to make that trade. And then going back to the first video, if the Lakers want Trae Young, fine, but we need Austin Reeves. Yeah, because I'm certain he's a more efficient scorer. Playmaker, I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that aspect. I'm not sure how that'll work. Score, efficiency scoring. Not saying he's necessarily a better scorer than Trae, but as far as efficiency, I would say he's a better, more efficient scorer than Trae Young. Trae Young's going to be, just because the way Trae Young plays. Trae Young controlled his pace. If he, people want to play like Steph Curry, they say they don't. They want to play like him and take these crazy shots, but they don't understand how efficient Steph really is. We'll take a look at Steph. Steph's another guy. I'm sure if I looked at this, you look at his layups, they're on par, probably better than these guys. But yeah, this is episode 2. No true stars. Looked at Kobe White as well. Kobe White, I think, is a high value role player. And Kobe White is another guy that I think if you can get him, just make sure you don't have to put the ball in his hands. He can. He looks like starting to work more efficiently with the ball in his hands, but better in the spot up. So those are your high value role players that you look for, especially offensively, and that you need on your team. So episode 2 in the books. We'll try again tomorrow. Look for some